Welcome everyone to our Wednesday night shiur at Beit Midrash L'Shem. R'shei Tevot La'akama Shechinta V'Afera L'Shem Yechud Kudsha B'Ruchu Shechinte. Our shiur tonight is Ilui Nishmat Amnun Ben Yael Ruach Hashem Tenicheu Began Eden V'gam Mordechai Ben Yishoah. And with your permission, also their Refuah Shlema Tzivia Bat Leah. And Torah says the words of Torah is like ish. It's like fire. When you light fire, a match is an existing fire, and you light a match from that fire. Is the first fire diminished? No, it stays the same. Same thing with Torah. The more you share, not the less you are. How do you know? When you put the match in the existing fire, what happens to the fire? It blows up. Because it's even bigger. So when we share our Torah, that's why the Pirkei Avot says that Hillel HaZaken said, "Mitalmidai yoter mikulam." I learned Torah more from my students than I learned from anybody else. Why? From your students. Be selfish. Be the greatest speaker. Be the greatest rabbi. Be the greatest posek. Be the greatest halachis. No. When you share your Torah, you become the greatest posek. You become the greatest lecturer. You become the greatest darshan, mikubal, tzaddik, v'chasid. So we want to share our Torah. The words of our Torah is hevel she'en bo hayt. When we speak Torah, it's fire. Fire can never be tameh. It's the only entity in the world that can never be tameh. Water can be tameh. Earth could be tameh. Air could be tameh. The only thing that can never be impure is fire. This ko bimino ish dat lamo. Torah is fire. So we want to say, we're going to share our Torah. I want to say that our Torah is also should be the Refuah Shlema, Tzivia Bat Leah, and also Yehuda Ben Leah was going through a very complicated heart surgery on Friday by one of our dear members, and we pray that he should be a successful surgery, and we should Bezrat Hashem be in his Brit Milah very soon. Amen. And I also want to say that this Shiur Torah, which is the 6th week of Shovavim, the 6th week, I want to dedicate this Shiur to the people to the Ravakim, to the single people who try so hard to give everything they have to spread the Torah, everything. Especially to Gavriel Chai ben Reuven Beleah. I'm here about 8 o'clock every Wednesday and Thursday. I'm here 8 o'clock. It's, the whole shul I'm by myself over here. It's kind of freaky. Everywhere is dark except for this room. And suddenly I hear like a small creak. My heart comes out and I see Gavriel. I'm like, Baruch Hashem. Malach HaBrit, exactly. So I want to bless Rabbi Gavriel over here that he should get married this year. Amen. This is your year, Bezrat Hashem, be Mekim Bait Ne'eman B'Yisrael, and also to Rahman ben Dina, Eliezer ben Yehuda, and to Israel ben Susanna, and Ronen ben Immanuel. Rabotai, last week, technically speaking, it's not the last week this year, because it's a leap year, but if it would be any other year, this would be the last week of Shovavim. Mishpatim, Shovavim, Shemot, Va'era, Bo, Beshalach, Yitro, Mishpatim, Shovavim. How does the Torah start the parasha, this week's parasha? We just finished getting the Torah. Just finished. God revealed himself on Mount Sinai. By the way, does anybody here know where Mount Sinai is today? Many people think it's in Egypt. There's a mountain in Egypt where you go, you crack the stones on that mountain, and it looks like a burning bush. So they say that's Mount Sinai, but it doesn't make sense. Why? Why would the Jews go out of Egypt and then return to Egypt? Doesn't make sense. The true Mount Sinai, Har Sinai, is in Saudi Arabia. How do we know? When was the first time Moshe Rabbeinu, was in contact with the mountain? When he was by his father-in-law Yitro. Yitro lived in a country called Midian. Midian is what? Saudi Arabia. So where did the Jews go right after the whole spectacle, the whole spectacular spectacle of Kiryat Yamsuf, they went to Saudi Arabia, Midian. And they get to Har Sinai, and till today, this mountain is closed off by the Saudi Arabian officials. You can't go near that mountain. It's called Mount Musa. Moshe? Musa is Moshe. Yusuf is Yosef. Musa is Moshe. I don't know what Muhammad is. Don't ask me. It's Mahmoud. Okay. If you go today, any Jewish person goes to Mount Musa, Har Sinai. It says when God was on Mount Sinai, the Har Kulo Ashan, the whole mountain was smoking. Mipnei sheyarad alav esh Hashem, the fire of God rested upon it. What happens when fire rests on earth? What happens to earth? It turns what color? Black. You don't make shashlik? What happens to the coal? It turns black. Till today, you go to Mount Musa, the whole mountain, the top of the mountain is what color? Black. Unbelievable. And right in the middle of the mountain, there's a small cave. There was one other person who visited the mountain, one other Jewish person who visited the mountain after the Jews left. Who is it? Eliyahu Hanavi. And where did God tell Eliyahu that you're going to be Malach HaBrit? Where? On Har Sinai, in that mountain, in that cave inside the mountain. And right next to the mountain, there is a big rock, maybe 30 feet tall, that has a huge cleave, straight down the middle. That's the rock that Moshe hit for the Jews to drink water from. Jewish people don't need proof that our Torah is divine. The world screams it. You are divine. You are real. You are the chosen nation. Teach us. I was listening to this lecture that may you be remembered for good, Big Gavriel. Man is free. Actually, today he's giving a lecture in 71st Continental, the Shul, Bukhari Jewish Center, where I learned as a Kollel student over there. So I was listening to a lecture of his that he's speaking about. He lives in Minnesota. Don't ask me what Jews are doing over there. There are Jews over there. Minnesota. If Chicago is negative 60, imagine what's going on in Minnesota. I remember when I was in Chafetz Chaim as a student, there was a boy over there from Milwaukee. It's not far from this. He said, we used to spit on the floor in the winter. It wouldn't hit the ground, it would crack. In the winter time. Do you know what that is? We freeze over here, we gotta run to Florida, to Disneyland, wherever you guys go. You know what it is to spit on the floor and it turns into ice before it hits the floor? That's how crazy it is. So this rabbi, he lives in Minnesota. And over there in Minnesota, there's this huge campus, 10 acres. I don't know how to... You guys know better than me. What's 10 acres?
It's huge.
It's not huge. It's very huge. In this place, Goyim come to learn how to be a minister. To learn how to be a priest. There's a priest, there's minister, there's clergy. One of them can get married to a woman. One of them says they can't, but they do all the shtuyot. One of them, they're married actually. Different kinds. So he was giving a lecture in one of these places. Look what's going on today, Rabotai. In our generation. And they invited a Jewish rabbi to give a speech on what is the Old Testament, because they believe in the Old Testament. Don't think they don't believe in it. They believe 100%. They just believe that their God incarnated. What's Yoshka? God incarnated. What does that mean, God incarnated? God came in a reincarnation in a human body. That's what they believe, right? Yes or no? Yeah. Yes? So they asked the Jew, we want to hear what a Jew has to say about the subject. So imagine a Jewish guy giving a speech in front of an auditorium, maybe 50 to 100 future priests and ministers. Now, 400 years ago, these guys were burning us at the stake. They inviting a rabbi to give a speech about Judaism in a campus full of kritmachs. And the bishop who invites the rabbi asks him, he tells him, don't worry, when I'm going to invite you, they're not going to try to convert you. Come here, because when they see a Jew, what do they try to do? They try to convert him. I never forget this in my life. When I used to live in 108th Street, Ba'avonotai Rabim. And we used to go to 69th Street, and there's a mikveh over there. Today it's not Agudat Achim, it's called, I think. Agudat Achim. There's a mikveh over there. Nobody uses it anymore. It's mamash. Nitgadal v'Itkadash. I remember dipping in that mikveh every single Friday and Shabbat. I remember as a kid. And I remember walking home. I was maybe 12 years old, maybe 10 years old. Me and my father were walking from the mikveh back to Bet Gavriel, where my father was the rabbi in the youth minyan. After the tefillah. And suddenly a man and a woman stopped my father. Clean shaven. He looked like he was dressed to impress. And the woman looked like she was a businesswoman. And they're getting my father in this conversation. I'm a little kid. I don't understand what's going on. 10 years old. My mind is, where is a kid, 10-year-old's kid mind at? And they're speaking and speaking. Not 5 minutes, not 10 minutes. I remember standing in that spot for at least an hour and a half. I sat on the floor because I was so tired. The debate was going on. I didn't realize until I was much older. It was a warm day. It was a warm day. I remember because my father just wore a talit. He just wore a talit. He was taking these missionaries home. You know what home is? He took them. He was speaking to them so much. One of them ran away. They couldn't stand in the spot. Guys, if a missionary ever meets you, a missionary, a person who tries to convert you, you only got to tell them one thing. They're going to leave you alone. Once you tell them this, they're not going to go. What do you got to tell them? They say that Yeshu, JC, died for the sins of mankind. What does the Torah say? Lo yumtu avot al banim, ubanim lo yumtu al avotam. The fathers cannot die for the sins of their children, and the children will not die for the sins of their father. Up! That's it. You shut them down. Because none of them ever took the second class. They all stayed in the first. Even if they took the second class, you'll shut them down. They can't answer you back. They cannot not believe in the Torah. They have to believe in the Old Testament. The New Testament is based on the Old Testament. But when you tell them this, that means the Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin says, "Da ma la'ashiv la'apikores." Know what to answer to apikores. Who's the first apikoresim? Yeshu HaNotzri. Rabotai. The knowledge of Judaism is in your hand. I've lately come into my contact a book. It's really my brother's, his reason this book came into contact with me. In this shul, I was reading Mincha of Shabbat this past week. There's a halacha. Between, let's say you finish the chazara, before the repetition starts, you finish early. Are you allowed to learn Torah between that time? Halacha is no. There is one Sephardi Gadol that says if your mind is going to go lebatala, that means you're going to start thinking of what? Shtuyot. You know what that means. You're allowed to open a book and start learning. People who have a little experience, you don't let the Yetzirah start up with you. Right away, I finished Chazara. I finished the silent prayer. I decided to learn a little bit before my father, which is Mincha of Shabbat, which usually should take about a minute, takes 10 minutes. I said I'm going to learn a little something. Usually, what do I take out? A person who learns in Kol, what kind of book does he take out? Halakha. Shulchan Aruch. I decided there's a book right next to the Shulchan Aruch. I never touched this book in my life. The name didn't call me. It's called Chovat HaTalmidim. The obligation of students. I said, Yakte, Binam, what's this book? I remember, when did we first find this book in the shul? It was on top where we're doing Tat Yadayim, on the top over there by the thing where we take the napkins. My brother saw the book, said, oh, it's such a holy book. Let's put it in the shelf. Chavad HaTalmidim. I'm not a Talmud anymore, I'm a Kollel guy. Who needs this book? I said, let me see this book, Yakte Binam, as you said. I take the Sefer, guys. It opened up my brain. It opened up my brain, Rabotai. It's like this, this surge of power. I just got connected to like a USB to a computer. When a USB gets connected to a computer, there's like a surge of power on your computer. Like just information is getting into it. I can't stop. I can't put the book down. It's amazing. What is the point of your being in this world? This rabbi that I'm telling you about, that he was a lecturer in this thing, in the Kritmach campus, 10 acres. Guys, look how the world is changing. Look how the world is changing. He was giving a lecture. In the middle of the lecture, one lady asked a question to him. Chabad rabbi, what do you think about Christian, about Yeshu? He's like, oh my God, I'm not gonna leave this place alive, That's it. So he told her the truth. He said, listen, you guys killed a lot of us. When I see you guys, I feel a little uneasy. It's true. She stopped her question and went on the lecture. After the lecture finished, true story, the minister, the bishop, said to the rabbi, she wants to tell you something. He was surrounded by students, all male. She was the only girl minister. And she was on the other side of the room. He walks to her. All the students are surrounding her. Her head is down. She's crying. She can't get a hold of herself. You know what she tells him when she regains her composure? I'm sorry for all the bad stuff we did to you. True story. True story. The world is changing, guys. One day, a goy is gonna knock on your door. It says I'm not telling you some far-fetched thing from my own head. I'm telling you prophecy in the Nevi'im. In the prophets, the Jewish prophets. One day a goy is gonna knock on your door and he's gonna ask you, teach me, what, where, how do I serve Hashem? And when you're gonna tell him, I don't know, he's gonna say, I don't believe you, you're Jewish. And then you're gonna ask yourself, guys, where was I this past 50, 40, 30, 20, 10 years? We live in an illusion. And this is a book. This passage I'm saying right now is from a book. Don't We Blush Anymore, by Rab Manis Friedman. I'm telling you, this passage is it's an arrow to the heart. You have to ask yourself a question. Do you believe in God because the Torah says so, or do you believe in the Torah because God said so? Ask yourself that question, and you'll be surprised of the answer. We live in a society where everything comes from the outside, not from the inside. We gotta look in, and then look out. Don't believe in Hashem because the Torah said so. Believe in the Torah because you know that Hashem said so. And the ingredient that's missing in our life, because we don't have a relationship with Hashem. Nikuda, period, that's it. Do you know why God told a man to get married? Do you know why God said to a man to get married? He has to learn how to surrender himself to another human being. So true, it's crazy. It's crazy. What is the biggest issue with men in a relationship? When you get deep in a relationship, what's the biggest issue? Deep in a relationship, what's the biggest issue for a man? Commit. Thank you. I'm happy you said it first. Commitment. What's the biggest issue for a woman in a relationship? She's too invasive. She wants to break the guy, to get deep inside of him. And the guy says, listen, I'm not ready for that. There is boundaries. You guys believe in the Beit HaMikdash? You guys want the Beit HaMikdash? You're lying. You don't want the Beit HaMikdash. You know why? You're going to have to take paternity leave 3 times a year. You know what that is? You're going to have to go on a month break 3 times a year. And you know what? If you don't, you're going over a mitzvot aseh. And trust me, a lot of lo ta'asehs follow. A lot of negative follow. You know what that is to take a break 3 times a year? And you know what? Everyone knows you're going. You could have an alarm system. You could have the greatest. You could have German shepherds guarding your house. You're out for a month. What do I care? Amazing. We've been doing that for 820 years. Did you know that? Jews have been doing that for 820 years. First Beit HaMikdash 410 years. Second Beit 420 years. Unbelievable. The mind just has to blow up. Our generation is so weak. As some rabbis put it, we live in a generation where we can't even handle a paper cut. A grown man can't handle a paper cut. How are you going to handle leaving your house alone for a month? How? And if you could go on Pesach and you decide to go in Iyar, you're chayav karet. And Shavuot, you gotta go again. In Sukkot, you gotta go again. You know what Sukkot is? You ever feel claustrophobic in an elevator? You're in a mountain, not a big mountain, stuck with thousands, maybe tens of thousands of men. Now, think about it. The Beit HaMikdash is a couple of hundred of amot by a couple of hundred of amot. You, as a Yisrael, can't go to a certain amount. Only a Kohen could go to the next amount. And after that, only Kohen Gadol. And could you imagine you have to stick together with a couple of tens of... how many people used to go up to Regia? Tens of thousands. Imagine each one is holding their etrog and their lulav. And you can't carry it. There's no eruv over there. You have to leave it inside the beit. The next morning, everybody comes. You took my lulav, you took my etrog. Each one is... You ready for that? Don't forget, you have to bring korban chagiga. Every one of the shalosh regalim, you have to bring a korban chagiga. And don't forget, in korban pesach, you have to bring another one. And if you ever made a neder, a vow, when do you bring them? In the shalosh regalim. You're not ready for the Beit HaMikdash. So don't tell me you want Mashiach because you don't want him. You don't want Mashiach because you're not ready. You don't know what he is. You have no idea what the whole point entails. You guys are clueless. You know why? You don't learn. It's nice to come to a shiur. A Jewish man is supposed to live in Torah. I never forget this. Never in my life. I was in Eretz Israel. When you go to Israel, last time I was there, I was mishtatech on the kever of Abai Verava. My brother was there. When I was mishtatech on the kever of Abai Verava, I was. It's deep in the Galil. You have to go deep inside a mountain. My mind was on. Sparks were flying. When I went to Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the Gemara says he was Mashiach, Masechet Sanhedrin. I was going crazy. So we met a Chiloni, a secular Jew. And he's like, the Rambam says in his beautiful American accent, you're not allowed to eat meat, you have to be vegetarian. So I told him, what do you have to eat then? Where are you going to get your protein? Beans. Beans. I'm like, wow, you must be Ashkenazi. Like, he was, wow, you have to eat Ashkenazi. They eat children all the time. Like, I love children. But you can't eat beans every day. You're gonna kill your family like that. This is like the Syrian chemical gas. So listen, I didn't finish the Rambam. I know halachot, this is the first, madava ava. I said, I don't argue. If I don't know, I don't argue. I said, let me check. You know what the Rambam says? Eat meat, but don't eat beans. I was going crazy. You know what I'm talking about? I was going crazy. The Rambam says there's nothing more bad for your body than beans. How did things get so out of hand? You know why, guys? We lost our relationship with Hashem. You don't have a relationship with... You know what you have a relationship with? The Torah. Kol hakavod. The Zohar says, Iyu, Oraita, v'Yisrael, v'Kuchabrichu, Chadhun. Kol hakavod. Torah, God, Israel is one being. The Zohar says this. It's mentioned all over. Don't ask me for the source. But you're not supposed to find God through the Torah. You're supposed to find Torah through Hashem. There is no reason that you should ever be without hope. Never in your life. Never. Never. God is with you. This past week, I went to Jamaica. You know Jamaica? Not Jamaica Estates. Jamaica. Da. I'm driving a white Pathfinder in Jamaica. First time in my life. My wife is like, look, forward. You can't look this way and this. I'm like, I can't stop looking. I said, I feel like I'm in a different world. Maybe I've been in Kolo for too long. I get, deep inside where the Home Depot is. Mamash, like, I felt like I was in a different world. Mamash, I was looking, I'm like to my wife, I said, some Jew has to come over here and read Mishnayot. You could ask her when you see her. She said, why? I'm like, somebody's got to do a tikkun over here. This is crazy. This is like, I don't know. This is like, I had never seen it. I was bewildered. Mamash bewildered. We get to the furniture store. We get to the place. Everybody's goyim. The guy who's coming to sell us the furniture comes to open up his store. The worst store in the block, and that's saying a lot. The worst. No, there's not even a sign over there. That's how bad it is. He comes, we're waiting outside for half an hour. He looks at me. His name is Victor. Hello, how are you? Suddenly I realized that he touched his hand on the wall. There's a small mezuzah over there. Hishtagati. I freaked out. I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave. To see a Jew I knew why he came late to the store. You know where he was? He was putting on tefillin, for sure, 100%. I have no question about it. For sure, 100%, he was davening. There's only one reason a guy in Jamaica would open his store at 11 o'clock. He was davening. I felt so good seeing that. He put a price. I didn't haggle with the price. I told my wife, we're saying yes. But, this is... When we go to a Bet HaKnesset, did you ever ask yourself, why is the Shmona Esrei silent? Did you ever ask yourself that question? Why is Shmona Esrei silent? If I would do hitbodedut, how say hitbodedut? Introspection, alone, basically. Alone. I'm talking to God alone. You know what I would do? I would yell on the top of my lungs. Why is it silent? Because you don't realize what you have until you come really close to it. And when you come really close to it, you can't yell. You whisper. It has to be silent. Like that silence you just heard? You heard this. That's Hashem. When you're talking to your wife, when you're on a date with her, when you were on a date with her, you went to a nice candlelit restaurant, you put the candles, everything. What did they do to the lights? They did it. And you're sitting across from her. Can you yell? You whisper. You know why you whisper? Because it's intimate. It means something. In Judaism, we don't get angry. Why don't we get angry? Because anger is anti-intimate. It's the opposite of intimacy. It's anarchy. When we want to get close to a human being, we whisper. When we want to speak to Hashem, what do? We whisper. You know why? Because Hashem is right here. Hashem is not here. He's right here by my mouth. God is by your mouth. You don't need to yell. He's by your mouth. He hears everything. You don't have to yell. Don't worry. It's unbelievable.
What about the rest?
The rest? When we say it out loud, you know where they say it out loud for? When those guys who reach Shmona Esrei, they don't know what they're saying. You're not saying it for Hashem. You're saying it to wake them up. Because their neshama is so close. They don't. You say Hashem, Sifatait, wake up. Hashem is right next to your mouth. He gives you everything. And He does give you everything. Hashem doesn't have to give you air. You think air comes for free? Im lo biriti yomam v'layla chukot shamayim va'aretz lo samti. If it wasn't for you guys learning Torah, I wouldn't put the nature of the heaven and earth. God said. It's Torah. It's mamash Torah. Rabotai, that air that you breathe is not for free. The water that you drink is not for free. The food that you eat is not for free. It comes for a price, but it's so cheap. It's so cheap. 10 seconds that you give to the Satan, lebatala, is too much. 10 seconds you give to him. 10 seconds, too much. You know what you are? There was a guy called Eov. He had 7 daughters, most beautiful in the world. Sons, bagati, rich. He was so rich, Mikol B'nei Kedem. You know what Mikol B'nei Kedem? Back then, there was no paper money. Everybody was rich. He was richer than everyone. You know what world he came from? Olam Asiyah. Ari says he came from the bottom world, Olam Asiyah. You know, everybody here, I'm not without a doubt. You know what kind of nishamot you guys are? You're a diamond in the rough. You're a diamond in the rough. Soon goyim are gonna knock on your door. They're gonna ask you, who is Hashem? You know what you're gonna tell them? These are the laws. What laws? They're gonna listen. They want to listen. They have to listen. The prophet Zechariah says, when Mashiach comes, all the nations of the world are gonna go up to Yerushalayim. If it doesn't come true, put the Torah on the side. It's a prophecy that must happen. When Mashiach comes, all the nations of the world, Russia, Philippines, Thailand, India, you know how big India is? Africa, Australia, forget about China. Yeah. They're all going to go to Yerushalayim. They're going to want to go up on the mountain. You know what we're going to tell them? Too late. You know who's going to go up? Gabriel. Daniel. Shmuel. Asher. Avraham. You guys are going to go up. You guys are going to go up. You know why? You worked for it. You want to get the closest possible. You want front row seats? You better work harder. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen ve'amen.